I don't believe, Brenda, Rod, we've ever started a Sunrise Extra playing Van Halen. I feel like we would rather be doing this under better circumstances.
I know.
We're playing this today.
I love this music.
It's awesome.
I mean, I can't help but smile. I mean, honestly, such a huge part of my childhood and my adulthood.
The reason we're playing Van Halen this morning, of course, is because rock and roll lost one of its great legendary rockers yesterday, Eddie Van Halen, who founded the band along with his brother back in the 70s, passed away yesterday after what was really a long battle with cancer.
Yeah.
So again, we're going to talk about, we want to make this an up edition of Sunrise Extra, even though that news yesterday was definitely sad. But we're going to talk about rock and roll because we know a lot of our viewing audience here doing Sunrise Extra, it falls into that baby boomer category, and you baby boomers love your rockers. So we can talk about all-time favorite rock and roll bands. If you have a specific memory in regards to Van Halen, please share that. We've been talking all week how we know we're going to get into deeper topics.
Right.
Heartier, newsier topics. We have the presidential, or pardon me, vice presidential debate tonight, the mayoral debate here in Portland tomorrow night. So we'll cover those topics later this week, but we wanted to have some fun talking rock and roll in honor of rock legend Eddie Van Halen this morning.
You know, I remember the very first Van Halen album. I'm trying to think that I saw, and you had to look it up for me because you said it was 1970.
I pulled out the whole history.
9?
Yes, so the first Van Halen album, just called Van Halen, came out in 1978.
That's what I remember.
And then the second album was simply called Van Halen 2. They put all their creativity into the music. They didn't get creative with the album titles.
They stole that from Rocky, didn't they? Come on.
Hey, Rocky 2, by the way, Rocky 2 and Van Halen 2 both came out in 1979. The cover that I remember, Brenda and Rob, we were talking about this earlier, was their 1984 album cover, which had the little baby with the angel wings, and there was like a pack of cigarettes next to the child. Certainly not appropriate, but we had to dress up our copybooks in 4th grade. Like the teacher said, I want you to kind of put together a collage on your copybooks that sort of speaks to who you are. And I went into my sister's room, I took her 1984 Van Halen cassette tape, and I tore the cover off of that cassette tape, and I pasted that right there on the center of the copybook, and that was sort of the centerpiece of my copybook artwork.
Rod, did you listen to rock and roll? Drew and I were trying to remember. Like, we don't remember you talking about like a favorite band that was in the rock genre.
You know, I've always enjoyed country music. I mean, you know, I went to parties and they were playing Van Halen, you know, very much so still in my college years. But I have to confess, when I think of that time, I think of the Bee Gees, I think of Earth, Wind and Fire, I think of country's Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
But certainly, you know, everybody knows Van Halen, one of the giants in the rock and roll industry, no question.
I think, go ahead, Brenda.
Connie Stab Miller, you know, Staub, is it Staub?
Yes, it is Staub.
She's corrected us before.
Yes, she appreciates the Staub.
Sorry, girl. Rush, Heart, Fleetwood Mac, etc. Yeah. She's just kind of reminiscing about, you know, what she used to listen to.
Sticks.
Same. Yeah. Sticks.
Yeah.
That's right. All my Van Halen stories, like my memories, seem to be inappropriate. Because
Why
I
is that, Brenda?
Being way too young. But I had a friend who had a much older sister who had a house not far from where I lived, and when I went to go visit my friend, who will remain unnamed, her sister, long before it was legal, kept a huge plate of pot on top of the refrigerator.
Really?
And somehow I remember seeing that plate of pot and also the Van Halen album all in, you know, the mixed up memory. But that was what rock and roll was. You'd go to a concert at Memorial Coliseum and that place would be fogged out with pot smoke. It was like, you know, back in the day, you just would camp out. It was festival seating. The doors would open and you would run for the front. Highly unsafe, but so much fun.
Those rockers enjoyed themselves, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
I have no Van Halen concert stories to share, but I mean, obviously I remember the band, and I was fairly young, so when that big album came out in 1984 with Jump and Hot for Teacher and Panama, I was 10 years old. But I remember it so clearly, so vividly, and I do remember, though, at that young age thinking, if David Lee Roth is the front guy, why is the band called Van Halen, right? Like, it took me a while to wrap my brain around that, my young brain, but clearly Eddie Van Halen, who again sadly passed away yesterday after a long battle with cancer, and his brother Alex, the drummer, they started the band. They were the brains behind the operation, but man, did they find a great frontman in David Lee Roth. Like, was there a better entertainer than David Lee Roth?
Him jumping around the stage, doing the splits, and he had all that kind of long hair, and then he kind of went weird.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not sure what happened to him. He became a caricature of himself, but that was, the hate. Look at him. Look at little Michael Anthony strung up
the
there.
bassist, yes.
Hey, Brenda, what would you say was their largest hit? Do you know if you had to take a guess at it, their largest hit throughout their career?
It was probably some of the later stuff.
I would say it's this one right here. I think Jump was probably the one that kind of still resonates today. You still hear it sometimes in commercials and things like that. So I think Jump is the one that has probably stood the test of time, but it's not my favorite. It was good.
Agreed.
Not my favorite.
And then do you remember when Eddie started dating Valerie Bertinelli?
Sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because everybody loved Valerie.
They were
it was like the good girl and the bad boy.
Weren't they married at some point?
Oh, yeah. They've got Wolfgang, their son, was in the band.
I knew that was their son, and I just wasn't sure if they actually ever wed.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jennifer Taft chiming in this morning. Good morning, Jennifer Taft. Sunrise Extra viewer you. She says, when I was 18, I lived in Hawaii. I got to meet Eddie with his wife, Valerie Bertinelli, at a wedding at the Hyatt with Guns N' Roses.
Wow.
So wait a minute.
Wait, she was invited to this? Well, tell us more, Jennifer.
Yeah, really, Jennifer. Normally you give us lots of details in your posts, and today I feel like you're leaving out thousands of pieces of information here. At a wedding with Guns N' Roses, Eddie Van Halen, Valerie Bertinelli in Hawaii when you were 18. More details, please.
Oh, I love this. Tracy Chambliss says that her girlfriends and her would take white roses to the concert and try to hand it to Eddie. And Eddie reached out and took hers.
Oh, a moment she'll never forget.
No, that's awesome. And Shannon does remind us that Valerie and Eddie divorced. Yes, they did. Yeah. They were married, though, for more than 20 years, says Marin.
Eddie had his struggles not only with cancer, but he also had his struggle with alcohol and drugs. So, I mean, he kind of led that rock and roll lifestyle. And I imagine that maybe being married to him wasn't always easy.
No, they talk about that.
Yep.
Yeah, no. Can you even imagine being on the road all the time, having the substance abuse issues and God knows what else? That's rough. Sandra Whitmire says, my brother had a drum set and he taught me on the set with the 1984 Jump record. Oh, there's Valerie.
Yeah. I remember when they got married thinking, I thought Valerie was a good girl. I remember thinking, not that you.
All good girls are bad girls. Don't let them fool you.
There's a few cases like that.
The quiet ones you have to watch.
I thought the same thing, Rod. Like, man, Valerie Bertinelli, like the ultimate girl next door. She had like that angelic face, and she's with rocker Eddie Van Halen. And then even worse for me was trying to wrap my head around, oh gosh, now I'm going to draw a complete blank. But Heather Locklear.
Yes, and Tommy Lee.
Yes, Heather Locklear, beautiful. Heather Locklear.
I knew she wasn't a good girl, though.
No. How can you resist a rocker? I was telling Drew,
I've resisted
again,
my whole life, Brenda. What are you talking about?
All my stories are inappropriate, but it was back in the day. I was telling Drew before we started the stream, it's like there's always one guy in the band that you don't fantasize about as a teenager. And unfortunately, that was Michael Anthony.
I'm glad you're sharing this.
We would have done all the rest of them, but we were like, no.
Braxton.
Jump.
There you go.
I think this screams for more of that. If you play that Jump video again, Brian Matthews, our director, we'll see a glimpse of that Michael Anthony kind of flying across the stage playing his bass, if we can pull that up again. So you're right. You had the Van Halen brothers. There's David Lee Roth. Of course, he was a babe magnet, if you will. There's Michael Anthony, the Brenda the man that Brenda says she would, quote unquote, not do.
Nope.
But I think you're right, because David Lee Roth had all that charisma and that charm, and I'm sure he was out there flaunting his stuff with relative ease. And then you had the Van Halen brothers who were like, hey, it's our band.
Exactly.
We're the name on the band.
Yes. Oh, Drew, who was the guy that came along way
Sammy
late?
Hagar.
No, Sammy was great. And then there was that other guy who was in the duo with Nuno Bettencourt, and they had that ballad back in the day. You know who I'm talking about.
No.
Streamers, come on, help me out.
I don't know.
Yes, because he failed miserably as the front man for Van Halen.
Wait a minute. So it went, obviously, David Lee Roth, then Sammy Hagar, and then there was another?
Yes.
I didn't even know about a third.
Yeah, oh yeah, you do. Well, he lasted about that long.
Okay.
He was from Extreme. That's right. Director Brian is reminding me.
I'm tapping out.
What was his name?
I need help from the viewers.
Okay, they're Googling.
Okay.
I just totally cannot pull the name.
I'm going to pull down on the stream here to see the latest comments, because maybe one of the latest ones will include this. In the meantime, I'll tell you that Kathy Wasser-White. That's a beautiful flowing name.
Wesley Wabbit.
Kathy Wasser-White says Van Halen was her absolute favorite. She said, I had pictures of Eddie in my locker when I was in high school. Loved Eddie Van Halen with 4 big hearts.
No, totally. Oh my gosh.
And they were, Jennifer mentioning that they were on MTV when MTV
Gary
was cool.
Sharon.
Oh.
Is it Gary Sharon? Is that it, Brian?
Yeah.
All right. No, I didn't get it. Maria.
Yep, Maria. Thanks for chiming in, Maria.
Thank you.
And now that you say that out loud, now I'm like, oh yeah, that guy. But did he contribute did they actually record albums with him?
I think they did.
Or did they just tour
I
with
didn't
him?
buy any, but I think they did.
From what I remember, there was this big fallout, right, between the Van Halen brothers and David Lee Roth. I mean, those egos just could not exist together, and that's what David Lee Roth was like, hey, everyone knows who I am. Why am I under this band's name? Kind of broke off on his own and never had that great solo career. The Van Halen picked up Sammy Hagar, and I liked those Sammy Hagar albums too. Some people were negative towards that. They called it, it's not Van Halen anymore, it's Van Hagar. No, it was always Van Halen.
It was always Van Halen.
And they were always the juice behind the music, so to speak.
So favorite concert, you guys, Van Halen or otherwise? The ones that I can think of, like I think my very first concert was Jackson 5, but the one that I was in love with was like 1976 Frampton here at the Memorial Coliseum.
Oh, wow.
I was 12.
Who
Rode
did you
there
go
in the
with?
back of, our moms took us and then dropped us off out front. Can you think of that? Like, Rod, remind me how old Natasha is.
Natasha
13,
will
right?
be 14 in December.
Okay. But, a couple years ago, can you imagine just dropping her off at the Rose Garden and letting her go in?
No.
We had so much more freedom. Like, I don't think I would have let my kids do that either, but our parents, let us get out and camp out all day long for some of those concerts before we got to go in.
I couldn't believe it when you said that out loud just now. Like, I thought, like, our 13-year-old twin boys, there's no way I'm dropping them off at Moda Center and saying, all right, guys, enjoy the concert. We'll be back at 10 o'clock. No
Right?
way.
Yeah. I know.
And there's no way they'd go in without us. I don't think they can handle
See,
it.
we're ruining our kids. I guess for good reason, though, in a way. So I saw Frampton, Foreigner, oh gosh. And, my fave has nothing to do with rock, but I am a huge Prince fan. So those are some of the best concerts I've ever seen.
But
what about you guys?
I can tie in that first concert you mentioned, Jackson 5, you said was the first concert you saw, Brenda, in person, first live concert. Eddie Van Halen, I don't know if everyone knows this, maybe it's common knowledge, perhaps you don't realize, the hit Michael Jackson song, Beat It. There's a great guitar throughout the song, but the middle of that song, there's this awesome guitar solo that takes up like a minute, and that's Eddie Van Halen on that track. So Eddie Van Halen did the guitar for Michael Jackson on that song, and apparently he did it for nothing, did it for free.
See, I had no idea that little bit of trivia, or I've blocked it. I don't remember it. Oh, Tracy Chambliss says Rush with Laser Light Show.
I do like Rush.
Do you like Rush?
I do. Oh, there's the Beat It solo. Thank you, Brian.
Don't talk over that.
Beat it, beat it, beat it, beat it.
Oh my gosh, it's like he's speaking. I mean, I don't even know how he does that. That is just amazing gifted talent.
It's amazing when you think he's doing that with 6 strings, right? I mean, that's all he's got there at his disposal, and he's making all that great music, all those sounds. I lost my train of thought there. We were talking about Rush before we hit that solo.
Laser Light Shows.
But thank you, Brian Matthews, by the way, for dialing up that solo from Eddie Van Halen. Rush, there's a movie, a comedy that came out maybe in the last, I know it's the last 20 years. Is it I Love You Man? Where they are way into Rush. So if you're into like silly, somewhat inappropriate at times comedies, check out I Love You Man. I think it's awesome. Paul Rudd is in that.
I love
him.
him.
And they go to see Rush, but he's like, slapping the bass, man.
Yes.
Slapping the bass.
Iconic line. Greg Mead is weighing in. Stevie Ray Vaughan opened up for Eric Clapton.
Wow.
1983, awesome show. I saw Stevie Ray Vaughan in New Orleans at one of the music festivals there. That was insane. Def Leppard, Dawn, yes.
Yes.
I saw Def Leppard at the Paramount Theater before it was the Schnitz. And who? Was it Blackfeet, Little Feet? I don't remember who opened for them, but everybody still had all their limbs, which was saying something. That was a long time ago.
The drummer lost his arm there for Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Rod Hill, I could put
Yes.
you on the spot here.
Yes.
If I asked you to name one Def Leppard song, would you be able to pull one out of your hat? I'm sorry to do this to you, my friend.
They didn't. Should I just go for my best guess, even though I
Yes.
might
Yes.
embarrass myself?
Yes.
Totally.
Sure.
They didn't do Stairway to Heaven. Who did
No,
that?
they didn't.
Who did that, by the way, Brenda?
I didn't think you'd embarrass
Who was
yourself that
Stairway
much.
to, who was,
Come on now, think.
Led Zeppelin did
Think.
Stairway to Heaven.
Yes.
Yeah, who did you give him
Yeah,
a
I'm not
hint,
good at this.
Director Brian?
No, you know what? Here's the deal. Nina tapped out of Sunrise Extra altogether. Now, she did have an assignment, but she admitted, listen, I'm not going to be able to chime in with all this rock and roll talk as well as you guys. And then Brenda and I looked at each other and said, is Rod going to be able to? But Rod, you are the man for hanging in here
You
on this
are.
rock and roll Eddie
We
Van
love
Halen
you.
edition of Sunrise Extra. I brought up the song that we're going in 1,000 different directions, but this, Brian Matthews, you must have been reading my mind.
What?
So this is Pour Some Sugar on Me from Def Leppard. And I will tell you, you know, my wife Mia, Brenda, country girl from Estacada, way into the country music, which I was never that into growing up in Philadelphia. So all I'm listening to with her is country music, like the first few months for dating. But then we're driving one day and this song comes on the radio and she says, I love this song. And I'm like, whoa, say it again? You know this song? You like this song? You like Pour Some Sugar on Me? Then we got married.
See? Exactly. Producer Mutt Lange was Def Leppard's big go-to guy. And Rod, you'll appreciate this because Mutt Lange ended up producing Shania Twain and gave her that great pop, you know, crossover kind of sound.
I don't like Shania Twain, actually.
Really?
But continue.
How can you not like Shania Twain back in the day? She was a cute little thing.
Cup of tea. I mean, I would
With
have
a
had
big
dinner with her,
voice.
but
Yeah. I appreciated her work. I liked a little Shania.
Gosh. See, there you liked you some.
oh boy. By the way, guys, I too saw, not the Jackson 5, but I saw Michael Jackson at the old Checker Dome Arena where the St. Louis Blues hockey team used to play in St. Louis when he was doing his Off the Wall tour, which I thought as a soloist was his best work in that Off the Wall album in those years. And it was amazing. I mean, you almost didn't have time to listen to the music because visually he was such an entertainer, right? You were so busy just looking at all the pyrotechnics they had going on and everything. But it was crazy. But yeah.
Back in the day, too, and I was, let's see, we were still living in California and we came up here in '72. So I was like 6 or 7. And it was when the Jackson 5 debuted on Ed Sullivan. I remember watching that. And I also remember having my mom send away to be a Jackson 5 soulmate. And I got in the mail all these little posts. Yeah, all these little posters. It was like a fan club thing.
Really?
You know, back in the late 60s.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And that now he's ruined it for me after seeing that damn two-part special. I couldn't even watch it. I could not watch the second part. So
this is one of those
so much for
Sunrise
Michael
Extras.
Jackson.
I look down at the clock, Brenda, Rod, and I see that we're running out of time. I'm like, darn it, because I could talk about this all day and all night. A couple of quick comments to get to. Rod, if you can answer this one quickly. Paul is asking, what does Rod like?
Well, I would tell you one of the biggest thrills of my career in terms of getting to interview somebody and spend time with them, entertainers, was at the height of their stardom, country music's Alabama.
Okay. I like Alabama too.
Every single song that band ever put out.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
So here's the deal. How about this? We'll have some fun with the viewers. You're all chiming in fast and furiously this morning, which is great. Any one of you right now can jump in just to get this back to Van Halen and Eddie Van Halen. Give us your favorite Van Halen song we'll have either our producer Celeste or our director Brian try to dial that up on the YouTube real quickly, and we'll play that to close out the show. So first person to chime in with your favorite Van Halen song, that's the one we'll play to close out the show.
Go people, go.
I definitely liked Hot for Teacher. And before we get to that, can you do this, Celeste or Brian? Can you pull up Why Can't This Be Love? Because this was a Van Halen song with Sammy Hagar that, again, someone else, I lost the comment, but someone said they hated Van Halen with Sammy Hagar.
I saw that.
I still thought they were
Running with
good.
the Devil.
And this was a little more poppy. I get it. It wasn't as hard rocking as the old Van Halen, but I still thought this was a good tune. There's the guitar, the drums. Alex Van Halen was as good on the drums, really, as Eddie was on the guitar.
Is that what you're going to leave us with?
No, I'm going to let the viewers dictate that, but I just wanted to throw in one Van Halen song with Sammy Hagar that I thought was the real deal. All right, you're going to have to give us something,
Running
guys.
with the Devil.
Is that the one?
Because I feel like we're devils.
All right.
Little devils.
Do we have Running with the Devil by Eddie Van Halen and Company? Again, thank you for joining us on Sunrise Extra today. We had a little fun sharing our rock and roll memories.
Rest in peace.
Yeah, celebrating the life of Eddie Van Halen, who we lost yesterday after his battle with cancer. Here we go. Running with the Devil.